preferred different pronunciations for this man's name. We are saying it the way people who have known him where he grew up are saying it. He spent time in Marshall County before moving to Florida. WSBT 22's Diane Daniels is at the live desk. And Diane, you spoke with a high school friend of the suspect.
Todd, I did. I talked today with a young man who was on the football team with Xavier at Plymouth High School. And these are some photos of Zephan from his freshman and sophomore years at Plymouth. During that time, he was on the football team and he also wrestled. After that, he transferred to Bremen High School, but never graduated from there. Jake Dewar played football with Zephan, or X, as he liked to call him, and he says he cannot believe the person he knew is now accused of such a shocking crime.
He wasn't not a violent guy, respectful, nice, intelligent from what I saw, and never really had like a group of people that he hung out with.
Coming up tonight at 5, I'll have reaction from the superintendent of Bremen High School to news that the alleged Florida bank shooter once walked the halls there. At the live desk, Diane Daniels, WSBT 22 News.
Systems.
That's right. From 2004 to 2012, he was a student in the Plymouth school system, and he also had 2 different separate stints at Bremen High School. Now, both of those stints in Bremen are described as brief in nature. One occurred from 2012 to 2013, then another brief time at the school in the 2013 to 14 academic year. He never graduated from Bremen. He should have been part of the class of 2015.
And so when you see that the shooting and what transpired, it's just absolutely unconscionable to think someone who had walked through our halls could commit such an act.
Now, because of school confidentiality policies, the superintendent in Bremen couldn't comment on the unusual nature of Xavier's attendance there or what caused him to transfer there from Plymouth in the first place. But we do know that Xavier never even showed up in the yearbooks at Bremen, and that's in stark contrast to the time he spent during his freshman and sophomore years in Plymouth. And there he participated in sports and showed up multiple times in the yearbooks. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll have a reaction from one of his Plymouth football teammates to the news that Xavier now stands accused of killing 5 people at a bank in Florida. At the live desk, Diane Daniels, WSBT 22 News.
Diane.
That's right. I ran into a lot of people today who knew Zephan Xavier and his family. Many were hesitant to talk on camera, but they told me in conversation about what a good family this was and that Zephan spent a fair amount of his upbringing living with his dad. Most of his school years were spent in Plymouth, where he was a student from 2004 to 2012. We found smiling middle school pictures of Zephan in Plymouth's Lincoln Junior High School yearbooks from 2010 and 2011. At that time, he was already involved on the football team. And that involvement in sports continued in high school, where Zephan was even on the varsity team his sophomore year, and he wrestled in high school as well. His former high school football teammate, Jake Dewar, says he didn't see any warning signs other than a high school kid who he describes as misunderstood.
Maybe a little bit of, anger towards other people and aggression just because of the fact of how he was and the people that he bonded with, right?
Students are protected by federal law that prevents schools from releasing details about their attendance. So we don't know why Xavier transferred to Bremen High School in the 2012-2013 school year. He only attended a short segment of that school year. Then he returned for another brief stint at Bremen High School during the 2013-14 academic year.
I had no idea this young man had passed through our halls.
Bremen Superintendent Dr. Jim White says Xavier did not graduate from Bremen. He started out, though, with the class of 2015.
One thing I hoped, maybe we can turn this into a positive. I've been trying to talk to people about doing a referendum for safety. And by safety, I really mean not barring up the school, but adding more counselors, mental health therapists, professionals that can help with students who we know have life issues and life difficulties.
Former teammate Jake Dewar just wants to know how his Plymouth High School friend ended up as the accused gunman in a mass shooting.
There's got to be more to it than what meets the eye from what we know, right? Because that's not the guy that I knew back in high school.
And Jake Dewar, who you just heard from there, not only knows the suspect, but also knows his family. He knows Zephan's dad, who coached him at one point. He knows Zephan's brother as well. I did reach out to a number of the family's close friends and relatives today, but they all declined to speak on camera. At the live desk, Diane Daniels, WSBT 22 News.